the number 2 ranked Hoosiers walked into College Park and silenced a sold-out Maryland homecoming crowd. Final score, Indiana 55, Maryland 10. The Hoosiers stay at number 2 in the nation behind a relentless rushing attack. 363 yards on the ground, powered by Kaelon Black and Roman Hemby, and a defense that straight up smothered the Terps. 5 forced turnovers, only 37 yards allowed rushing, and Devan Boykin takes a fumble 32 yards to the house. Mendoza steady at the controls, 201 yards through the air, 14 of 21, 2 touchdowns. Now the road gets even tougher. Big noon kickoff, a trip to Happy Valley, and on Tuesday night, the first college football playoff rankings drop. This is Indiana football. This is the Hoosier Tailgate. The Hoosier Tailgate starts now.
And picked off up the sideline. Indiana, Asbury, walking them down. Woo! IU, America, they got a football team now.
Good evening and welcome back to Hoosier Tailgate here on the Hoosier.com Monday recap show as the Hoosiers went out to College Park, Maryland on homecoming in front of a sellout crowd and delivered a complete beatdown of the Maryland Terps, and the Indiana came away with a 55-10 win in College Park. The offensive ground game, 363 yards, their 5th game of the year over 300. Steady in the passing game for 201 yards for Fernando and 1 bad mistake at the start of the game. The defense, again, their play has been stellar. 17 yards on the ground is all that Maryland could muster on Saturday, and Indiana's defense got 5 takeaways, of which the one, Mr. Devan Boykin, took it to the house for 32 yards and giving Indiana a huge score, and came back the very next series and got another turnover that led to a score. I believe Indiana had 24 points off of turnovers on Saturday. When we look at the stats, we'll take a little deeper dive into that. But there's nothing more than to say is that if anybody thought that that game was going to be a trap game or a potential upset alert, Indiana took care of that at about 5 minutes or 5 or 6 minutes into the ball game. And again, just the kids played well. They played exactly how the coaching staff expects them to play, one play at a time, forgetting about the last play, focus on the next play. And I could tell that Signetti was pretty happy with his bunch in the post-game presser. But appreciate you guys being with me here tonight, this Monday evening. We're in the month of November. It's hard to believe that we are 9 games in to this 2025 season already, with Indiana being 9-0, getting ready for a big game in Happy Valley, part of Big Noon kickoff for Fox out there in Happy Valley. 100,000+ seat stadium. I would guarantee that they'll probably have every bit of that on Hand Saturday, as this will be the first chance for the interim staff to have a home game in front of their fans, and having the number 2 ranked team coming in to Happy Valley will be a huge bullseye on the chest of these Indiana Hoosiers. Good evening there, Mr. Music. Appreciate you being here again. All those that are joining us tonight in the chat or listening to us via the podcast at some point or on X, by all means, we fully participate in this conversation we have on Mondays and Thursdays. If you have a question, comment, by all means, put it in the chat. We'll try to get it answered. And if not, I go through the comments that are left on Facebook after the show just to double check to make sure I haven't missed anyone, because my envision of what we do here at Hoosier Tailgate on the Hoosier.com is about the fan participation and being a part of the tailgate each and every week during the season and even into the off season. Also on the link tree on my Twitter page at Hoosier Tailgate, you'll find different links to different affiliates there that will have different products that are available for you to purchase if you so desire to. There's some great grilling and smoker opportunities with Pit Boss and Louisiana Grill. They've got some great ones, even ones that are for tailgate specific type of setups. And if you do not have a smoker like a Pit Boss or Traeger, whatever, I highly encourage you to get one, because I've got one and I make one of the best steaks now ever made with doing it on the smoker. It's hard to go to a regular restaurant and order a steak now, because it doesn't taste the same. But highly encourage you to do that if you have a chance to do that, or ask maybe the wife or kids for the Christmas present. That'd be a great present for dad or the boyfriend in that regard. But they're all there for you to look over and take a look at. I do want to take a chance to show you our Fanatics store that we do have, and I wanted to get this up on the screen so you can see it. It's true. Fanatics Hoosier Tailgate. There's a link on the bio for it. It'll take you right here. I've selected about 67 items there, but they're all types of items, and you can see there's a lot of great Indiana gear, not just dressing, shorts or T-shirts or stuff like that, but all types of different Hoosier gear for you to purchase. I really like the pullover, kind of a half zip pullover. I think that's a sharp one, as well as some of the other T-shirts that are here, and polo shirts. Even the ladies, they've got stuff in there for the ladies to look at and grab. These sweats are always awesome. Excuse me, I'm having trouble talking tonight. These cotton sweats are great, and there's just a ton of different items there that you can purchase there at the Hoosier storefront. I really enjoy the quarter zips. I think those are sharp. I do like the ladies, this Antigua, kind of what they call a sleeveless jacket. I think those are sharp as well. But a ton of stuff there that you can look at and see if there's something there you may be interested in. I know last time they were offering like free shipping on anything over $29, and sometimes they offer up to 30% off on their gear. But there's other gear outside of just the items that I have there that you can get to as well through my link there. And there's nothing to say that you couldn't go and look at Pacer stuff as well, because they've got all that and some Colts merchandise. So feel free to look at it all, one and all, so to speak. But there, I showed it to you, and I've done my duty as it pertains to Fanatics. They've been nice to me and asked me to come on to do that with them as a creator for the tailgate, and they wanted to be associated with us in the Hoosier.com. I said, why not? And so there you got it. So there, a little bit of that. Remember, if you do happen to purchase something through one of our links, that does entitle us to a little bit of a commission. We roll it back in the show. Our objective is to have the best Indiana football coverage you can find, not just here on the tailgate, but also for the Hoosier.com, as we're getting into that year where we've got multiple sports getting ready to kick off. Basketball starts this week with Coach DeFries, and the ladies, I think, started a week ago, if I'm not mistaken. So we're rocking and rolling, and there's no better place to get your information than the Hoosier.com. $1 for the first month and 50% off that subscription for the first year. And you also get a subscription to The Athletic. So great opportunity. If you got over there, please get over there and get you a subscription as well. And when you have a chance, if you're on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for the tailgate, Hoosier Tailgate, as well, the notification, smash the like and all that good stuff. And it helps us with the algorithms and things of that nature, as it does with the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So again, got all that information out to you. Appreciate you for bearing with me there for a few seconds. But again, Indiana, what a day they had in that regard. Let's see here. Question. When are we going to see a few commits? Indiana's class is pretty well wrapped up in some respects. They only have a few spots left because I'd have to go back and look. They've got 20 plus commits for the 2026 class. Now, there are some that they're entertaining that were committed to Penn State that may flip, whether it's the 26 class or the 27 class. And they've been getting some really good players on campus with all the success that Indiana's had over 2 years. So that, in that respect, we'll get to that as well in that regard. So as we go through this today and tonight with Indiana's record at 9-0, as well as them again being ranked number 2 in the country, we're going to get started here with all the things that are involved with this week and what all is going to happen this week. Yeah, as like I said, the Hoosiers remain number 2 in the country right now on both polls. We'll take a look here in a second at the ESPN FPI and things of that nature that will be utilized as the committee is meeting this last couple of days, and we'll have the first ranking that will be out tomorrow night as the playoff rankings will be released. I think sometime around after 7. Those will be released, and we'll see where everybody stacks up. There are some things that I've noticed that I don't quite understand. For instance, Iowa is a really good football team, and they've had some big wins even after they lost to Indiana, but they played Indiana tough as nails, and they're not even ranked right now. They should be in the top 25, in my opinion, if not higher, of how good they are this year. But Washington just did get in the top 25 this week, but that will be out on Tuesday night. Be interested to see how it all comes out, where Indiana stacks up in that regard. So interesting to see what that is for us fans, with the rankings per se, and how that may or may not affect Indiana with all that. But that is going to be an interesting dynamic on tomorrow night. As you may have learned, Auburn fires Hugh Freeze. He's only in his 3rd season there on the plains of Auburn, and they let him go after a loss to Kentucky. As you can see, the SEC is literally crazy on all fronts as it pertains to what all goes on in the South when it pertains to football. But Auburn did release Hugh Freeze. That's open. I think that's like the 11th or 12th opening. And the vast majority of them are in the P4 arena. And it's one of those years, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for coaches, whether you're a head coach or a coordinator, to potentially get into a P4 job, just because there's so many jobs out there. They're not going to have enough guys to fill those jobs that are available. As you look at all the guys that have just signed the contract extensions, you got Matt Rule, who signed a contract extension, and they got beat on Saturday. They locked him up, I think, for another couple years. I don't know the exact details, but other schools did the same thing. Lastly, at SMU got an extension. And so the market is dictating those that have coaches in place, and they may be in a year that they're doing okay, and maybe not a year that a normal AD or a normal year where an AD may extend a guy. You're finding that they're doing that to protect their asset with that coach. So interesting in that regard. But Hugh Freeze out at Auburn, and another big time P4 job, or what people refer as the Blue Bloods, open in Alabama. And it'll be interesting to see how that all falls out with that in LSU. Again, big noon in Happy Valley for the Hoosiers and Lions on Saturday, which, I'm sure it will be an interesting game in the sense that 100,000 plus in that stadium. I had heard a rumor that may be classified as a whiteout game. So that should be an interesting environment for these Hoosiers to go play in. But we'll get to that after we get some of this breakdown going here of Saturday's game with Maryland. We're going to head into a little bit here of the FPI rankings and such. And this is the updated FPI. And hopefully you guys can see that rather well. I'm going to try to blow it up a little bit more. And then I got to do this to do it right in that respect. And then I can go back and do that. And hopefully we'll get everything here just before I get rolling anywhere. See, I was sleeping. Yeah, I think a lot of people are sleeping on Iowa. And Tyler, appreciate that, partner. Really do. Yep, that's pretty much the case, Robert. Get mentioned for a job and get a raise and extension, even though you may not deserve it. I know some Nebraska folks weren't too happy that they extended Rule. And I think his record against top 10 teams is as bad as Franklin was, or ranked teams. I think he's like 1-25 in his career against top 25 teams. So unfortunately, the market demands it. And if you want to keep continuity, you're going to have to do that. So here's FPI, the power ranking index that I'm sure the committee will take a look at some of these, data points that they always do in terms of what they all look at. Normally, when I was on the NCAA Division III committee for the national tournament, the NCAA pretty much, when they did these, has a pretty uniform way of selecting and ranking and how to look at things with all the different data that they bring in. Of course, the first thing that everyone should look at is head-to-head, who you beat, things of that nature. And then also your strength of record, strength of schedule is another data point that they will look at. And there are some other ones there, but the number one thing is head to head, and how many losses do you have versus another school that maybe you're competing against for a spot, and is a 2-loss team better than a 1-loss team? And those debates that will go on in that room will be hot and heavy in that respect. When when I was a part of that D3 committee, we had some great discussions that went on until the wee hours of the next morning when you had to release the playoff team and brackets. So again, this will be, these people will take it seriously. They always do. But anyway, right now you can see Buckeyes 0.3 of a point better in the FPI than Indiana. Indiana has moved up with some of the wins of late. And right now, as you can see how that's worked out, you got 3 Big Ten teams ranked in the 1, 2, and 3. And then you add USC in terms of where they're at here. And then when we're going to look at resumes, when they pull other ones in, we'll see how these guys add up after Indiana and Ohio State. But 1-loss team. Now, USC's 2-loss, as is Michigan. As you can see, there's a lot of 2-loss teams in the equation. And it will be interesting how those look when you talk about looking at a team's resume here. And this is where Indiana has a pretty good deal of, in terms of what they've done on the college landscape. Strength of record is 2. They're 2 in the FPI, 2 in the Associated Press and college football. Their strength of schedule is 39th overall, not all that bad. Now, Illinois is going to get better because of who they played. They're right now at 6 overall. Wisconsin, all the way down here at the bottom, they have the toughest schedule in the Big Ten remaining. But Indiana at 39, that's pretty darn good compared to where they were a year ago at this time. Then their strength of schedule with the rest of the way is 26. And that's good because when you look at it, compare that to Ohio State's, which is 43. The Indiana is sitting pretty good, although Oregon is at 16. Indiana's beat them in a head-to-head competition. So really good there. And you can see Iowa down here, 9 in their remaining strength of schedule. And then efficiency aspects of things. This takes into account offense, defense, your special teams, all that type of stuff. Indiana still holds the 1 ranking in overall efficiency. Offensively, 4, defensively, 2, and right there, ranked 12. But overall in the Big Ten, they look pretty good. And if you change this, and if I said, oh, shit, didn't mean to do it that way because it blew up on me. Why is it doing that? I was hoping to get all of the teams in there, so not going to be able to do that the way this thing is acting. Oh, well, we'll do that next time. I think on Thursday, get a look at, after they get everything out, what all the FPI and stuff is showing there. That is, but Indiana's resume, what I'm trying to get to, and maybe I just spit it out. Indiana's resume is strong as of right now today. And it'll be interesting to see, do they come out as the number 1 ranked team with all the data points over Ohio State, who doesn't have as good a data points as Indiana has. Now, I don't think that will happen because they are the defending national champions and they are still winning ball games handedly. Took care of Penn State, and I don't care what Penn State is overall. They're still a really good team. They've got some really good players, and Ohio State played pretty good. Tate and Love are legit threats, and Sand is playing really good at quarterback for them. So it'll be interesting tomorrow night how that all stacks out when you look at everything at that, from that standpoint with the FPI aspect of things. And we'll see what all that is. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, the Big Ten standings heading into the next week here. Indiana and Ohio State 1 and 2. Then the four one-loss teams in the conference. And let's see here. And overall, the only one-loss team in the league at this point is Oregon, and the rest are two-loss teams like Iowa and USC. And I think you're going to see a two-loss team get in this year because of most conferences are that way with some of these good teams that are still available. But Indiana and Ohio State are on a collision course for Indianapolis in the next few weeks if things hold the way they are. So if you are thinking of wanting to go to the Big Ten championship game at this point in time, pay close attention to what maybe the Big Ten website is putting out. You can go there and check. You can also check in and around Indianapolis if there's any hotel availability. I doubt if there's anything downtown other than the real expensive ones. And remember, if Indiana does play in the championship game, Indiana basketball plays that afternoon at Cambridge. So it's kind of a good deal. Indiana basketball, football doubleheader potentially. So if you're looking for wanting to attend that, pay close attention to the Big Ten website as well as Indiana. I'm sure we'll start spitting things out about if you want to go. But I may not wait. I'd check on the Big Ten and see if they're putting something out as far as ticket availability right now in that respect. So we're going to take a quick listen here to Coach Cignetti's press conference today, get caught up on all things from Maryland, injuries, and that, as well as his thoughts on Penn State. But here's Coach Sig from his presser today.
All right, Penn State this week, okay? This is, they're in the top 25 in the ESPN Football Power Index, 22, I think, still. Same guys they started the year with, for the most part, that was ranked number 1 to number 3 in the country. So a lot of good football players at all positions, playing really hard here. Terry has done a really good job of sort of rejuvenating these guys. And it'll be his first opportunity to play a game at home. Tough place to play, 100,000 plus people. They're a really good football team. Had some tough times. And we got to have a great day today and a great week. Stacked days, just like always. Be prepared, have the right mindset, play really, really well. First play to last play. And been a change up there, obviously. James Franklin, had 5th in the country last year, was about 105 and 40 after 11 years. Did a tremendous job. Has always represented himself with class. A lot of respect for him. And Penn State. Always have had a lot of respect for Penn State, too. So, Saturday, Maryland, good win for us. I think when you look at that game, what sticks out, turnover ratio 5-1, resulting in 21 net points. Maryland was number 1 in the country in turnover ratio coming into the game. Great job by our defense creating 5 turnovers. And the rushing numbers, 370 to 37. There's others, 3rd and 4th down, we were 66%, they're 33. We had the ball 41 minutes almost, 4 or 5 touchdowns in the red area, they're 0-2. And our defense did a great job early when the offense turned it over, holding them to a field goal. And so it was a good win and got to play a lot of players. So, but obviously we've turned that page. And, everything in this game is earned, not given. And you got to earn it every single day. The game gives you nothing. You get out what you put in. And we got to really be sharp this week and have a great mindset. Questions?
Zach, I guess kind of a two-parter. First one is just, Injuries, specifically Aiden, Elijah, and Drew, just kind of where are they heading into this week?
Yeah. Well, we'll know more on everyone as the week progresses. So we didn't really come out of that game with anything that we would call significant. You know, the bumps and bruises that can occur during the course of a 12-game season. Aiden Fisher, we thought made really good progress toward the end of last week. Wasn't quite ready to go, very optimistic on him. Elijah, we'll know more day to day. He's been dealing with something the last 2 weeks, but has been able to play. Had a little tweak of something else early in the game, and we got him out for precautionary reasons. Drew Evans will not be available this week.
And I guess the second part of it is, I understand you are not taking anything for granted, but with the way that the playoff has changed the postseason structure and the way that it's changed just, frankly, the length of a season, do you view injuries differently when you can, essentially kind of, if there's a wider sort of path to the playoff, do you think any differently about, risking a certain player? I don't say risking him, but, playing a player at a certain place in an injury, or maybe giving him more time to heal, knowing that there might be greater opportunities deeper into the calendar, if that makes sense?
Yeah. Well, I mean, injuries are part of the game. Some of them are outside your control. I'm always thinking about the health of our football team, which is why we practice the way we practice. And if you happen to notice at the end of the games, when we're running the clock and snapping the ball with 2 seconds, we're reducing the number of plays in the game, right, which we've done quite a bit in some of the games where we've gotten out ahead. I think I know what you're asking, and the answer to that is we take those things day to day and make the best decision, starting with the individual's health.
This is on your left with Pete.
Yeah, Kurt, you worked to get Byron Baldwin some meaningful reps on Saturday. The players in the fall kind of raved about his progress. He suffers injury. How did he deal with kind of being sidelined, and now what do you expect from him going forward?
Yeah, I mean, he missed quite a bit of practice time, and which allowed us to kind of settle in on our 3 starters and keep them at the same position. We've got position flexibility, really with all 3 of those older guys. And Byron returned to practice maybe 2 weeks ago and got to play Saturday, so it was good to get him in there on defense. He's also playing special teams, recovered a fumble. He's a young guy that has a lot of talent, but he's a young guy. And, there's a big difference between guys that have been around the block for 5 years around this game and a freshman. In a lot of, I don't need to explain the difference between an 18-year-old and a 23-year-old. You guys, but he's got a great future. He recovered a fumble, thought he played well, and we're counting on him helping us the rest of the season.
Pete, on your left with Daniel.
Yeah, Kurt, what's been the biggest jump in Omar in terms of performance this year, and including perhaps blocking? And then what do you need to see more from Jonathan Brady and Charlie Becker?
I think Cooper, with another year of maturity, has just become more consistent. There's still improvements to be made, like everybody else on the team. He had that drop, and then another one we could have come down with. It was a tough catch, but he could have had a huge day. But he's an explosive player. He's good after the catch, hard to tackle, and he just keeps getting better and better. And I think it's all in front of him. I really do. And I've seen a lot of growth in Omar, and I've always been really impressed with his upside since the first spring after I got to watch him a few times and saw his explosion and suddenness.
What about Brady and Becker?
Charlie Becker's done a good job. He's taken advantage of his opportunities and saw more playing time on Saturday. Also a real key guy on our special teams, as is Brady as a punt returner. Brady's made a few plays in the slot also, He's just unfortunately behind Cooper. But Cooper's got the flexibility. We can move him around, play him inside, outside, which then only increases his reps.
Daniel in front of the back.
I think Ola had mentioned this last week on Lou Moore, that he was a guy you guys wanted to keep in 23. Why did you welcome him back in 24?
Yeah, there we go with Coach Signetti. Hopefully I got that done correctly. I don't know here. I may have to go back to that.
Penn State this week.
And we'll get it back here. And there we go. I think we got her. Well, maybe we don't have her.
All right.
Coach Signetti's driving me nuts. So anyway, can you hear me now? Well, sometimes I get it right, sometimes I don't. But Coach Signetti, they're speaking about that game on Saturday and the challenge that they have with Penn State. I like the comment when he came in and said he really didn't care about what you guys thought about Maryland and patting them on the back because they had the 23rd ranked team in the I guess he thinks in the country with the FPI and all that stuff. So he understands that they got a big challenge on their hands come Saturday at Happy Valley. The other thing that he was stating there as well, which I can appreciate, is he did talk about the offensive line, and what they did on Saturday was pretty amazing to have 363 yards on the ground. And they did a heck of a job because they put Zen Makowski at left guard for Evans. And that kid has played most of his snaps in games at tackle. Now, in practice and stuff, what they usually do is they'll take their next best guy that maybe probably with the second unit, but he's the next best offensive lineman, and they'll move him around in practice for this specific reason right here. In terms of an injury, Evans, I'm not quite sure what is his status. I'm guessing it's a knee, like a sprained knee. Sounds if, I think they're hoping that they get him back against Wisconsin. But they also have a bye week there prior to the Purdue game. So we'll see. But I thought the offensive line was outstanding. We'll show some things on video to back that up as well. It was just one of those things that I thought they played their, off, because these guys were against some really good defensive linemen from Maryland, like we talked about. So, in that regard. And so I think that's the thing that I thought of that game Saturday, is that group of five guys, and then the tight ends in there, Nowakowski and Stays. They played their, what's off that entire game that enabled Black and Hemby, who run hard. And those guys' effort is unbelievable when you watch them. Black at times is kind of thought to be brought down, but he's dragging 3 or 4 guys an additional 2 to 3 yards. And Hemby, every time he's hit, he's always following forward. That gets an extra 2 to 3 yards. And those add up through the course of a ball game. But those 2 guys, unbelievable. And then you throw Martin into the equation. That kid's going to be special. That kid has got the power of both those guys and the speed that's better than both of them. So in that regard, let me see here a couple questions here. Wyatt is lost for the year. He's got, I think, an ACL. That's kind of what I'm summarizing. They don't necessarily always tell the public about a certain injury unless the kid releases them to do so. And I doubt Sig even bothers with that. But I would imagine he's got a knee for the better part of why he's kind of on the sidelines. Yeah, I thought he did a great job. I mean, that's not easy going from tackle to guard in a matter of 5 days. And really only 2 to 3 days of true practice and stuff, because Sig's a guy that, like he said, is his main thing is to avoid injury if possible. You know, that's what he wants to avoid in those type of situations is avoid the injuries that potentially could lead in practice, you know, getting a terrible injury because you're hitting too much in that respect. But Indiana, I think I think in that first drive Saturday offensively, they look a little heavy-legged that game. Kind of like they did a little bit against Ohio State, you know, in that first couple drives at Ohio State outside the one, they took the opening drive and scored, but they look a little heavy-legged at times, and to be expected. These are the games that you really got to push through it, man. It's really mindset and things of that nature. In terms of that, any chance that with the NCAA going with 5 years this was his 5th year. So this was his last true year of eligibility. And because he played in over half of the games, he is officially out of eligibility. Now I say that and he'll go sue the NCAA and he'll get back, you know, get this year back for some way. But right now, that's kind of how I look at it. He's done in that respect. So hate it for the kid. You know, we saw the Maccabee up at Purdue is done for the year. The running back, he had an injury that he's done for the year now. I hate to see that for kids, especially that kid. That kid's, I mean, I know he's at Purdue, but he's fun to watch. I mean, that kid, another kid that runs hard, but he's also done for the year. So you hate seeing those type of injuries that lead to these kids getting out, you know, being, you know, losing their eligibility and stuff. Whoops, hit the wrong button again. And that's what I don't like about it, is that respect of things that ultimately cause them to lose the rest of the year in that respects. Mikowski, let's see. Yeah, I'll show you that one on that one sack in that respect. So I'll show you that one when it comes to that aspect of things. When he lost that block because he took the whoops, what's going on here? When he lost that guy in his pass pro from that standpoint. When you look at let's go over some of these stats from Saturday, and then we'll get into some video here. This is the final statistics that from the game. Indiana, of course, 55 points, just total domination. Even at halftime, when they were ahead 20-3 at halftime, Indiana had 131 yards rushing and 159 yards passing for 290. Maryland at halftime had a total offense of 86 yards and only had 8 minutes in terms of time of possession. So Indiana, outside of those first couple drives, thoroughly dominated the first half, and then that led to the second half being the way it was. That's one thing that I thought Indiana did well, is capitalizing on Maryland's miscues and mistakes. And at the better part of the first half, the quarterback from Maryland, I think it's Washington. Yeah, Washington, as you guys can see, he's really good. But for whatever reason, he was unsteady there in the first half. He missed a lot of throws. And part of that, I think, was Indiana's speed and things flashing in front of him. They just was uneasy with them in that regard. But Indiana, 52 rushing attempts, passing wise, 16 of 23, 70%, while Maryland was at 55%, almost 600 yards of offense. That in itself is kind of mind blowing when you think about that, because that's almost, 2 games in some respects that was good there, in that respect. Yeah, I'll have to double check that then. I thought this was his 5th year. Maybe I was made the mistake of thinking that maybe he was out of eligibility because he's played for 4 straight years. He maybe played as a freshman. I'll double check that and see what I can come up with in terms of what his status may or may not be as it pertains to next year. It'd be great if he could come back. Yeah. Yeah, we needed that. We needed this game at Ohio State a year ago for sure. But third down conversions, we talked how big that was. Indiana stayed on schedule for the better part of the afternoon and kept Maryland off schedule. As you can see, 25%. That's incredible. I think the third down conversions for the last 2 games, UCLA and Maryland, those offenses are a total of 4 for 24 on third downs. That tells you how good they were defensively on Saturday. Great job there. Fourth down conversions, Indiana 1 of 1, Maryland 1 of 2. I know there was some controversy when Sig decided to kick the field goal down there and take the points. I think it was in the second quarter on a 4th and 2, and I know there was some grumbling you could hear about what, him not going for it there. But I totally agree with his decision there. You're on the road, hostile environment. You've not been good on 4th downs all year, especially of 2 yards or more. And getting the points was more important than trying to get a first down. And you don't want to come up empty-handed there because that was a pretty good drive they had going. Red zone chances as well. Indiana was 100%. Maryland was 1 of 2. They had no touchdowns in the red zone. Indiana was 4 or 5 in the red zone. There's the turnovers and the points off of 24 with 5 turnovers. Indiana had 1, and then almost 2-1 on the time of possession. That's just crazy to think, because Maryland was a team that came in averaging a pretty good clip when it came to time of possession. So again, great domination on all phases of the game. Defense just playing lights out. This is what you need by your defense. They're playing championship caliber defense and what they're able to do week in and week out. And one of the big ones is teams' inability to run the football against them. They just Indiana was getting penetration right and left on Saturday. Let's see here. When I looked at the game objectives, and we talked about this last week on Thursday, we kind of laid out some of the expectations or things that I think were important in this ball game. Indiana's offense hit all of them. They did establish the run game. That was important. I thought that was going to be a critical area for Indiana, coming off a game against UCLA where they rushed for 263, and they come back and plus 100 on this game to get the 363. Stayed on schedule. They won those money downs. They got 100 points inside the red zone, and they scored more than 35. So that was a good office day for that offense Saturday. Defense is just as important in all this. They did make Maryland one-dimensional. They took the running game completely away from him and forced a freshman quarterback to say, you're going to have to beat us by throwing the ball. And they did a great job of pass defense Saturday. The only thing they didn't do is get a sack. They were kind of a step late and a dollar short on a couple of them, but that kid's a big kid and he does have a quick release. So that's what enables them to, kind of like Fernando. It's hard because they can get rid of the ball quickly. I did think they did get adequate pressure with 4. They got them off schedule. They won the third down money down. They held them to under 14 points, and they won the turnover battle plus 4 on the day. On top of that, they returned a fumble for a touchdown, which is an added bonus when you think about that. So a complete and utter domination when you think of that ball game and the statistical data aspect of things. Indiana was, whoops, what am I doing here? Indiana really came out of that game very good in all those statistical categories. You can't be too disappointed in that performance over the last 2 weeks. I think they're on point in everything that they're doing. I think that they've got a mindset that I kind of think that those kids are in a great mindset. I think the coaches have done a great job of keeping them focused on the important things. And I do think SIG does a phenomenal job of communicating the message, and that goes down through the coaches to the kids to the organization as a whole. They're all on the same page, baby. And that's what you want to see, especially coming into this latter part of the season where it's a grind. You're in that season part of the year where it's a grind. Even for the coaches, this part of the year is a grind. You know, you played 9 games, you know, and they've been tough ball games. You're fortunate enough to come out with wins, but at the end of the day, it's still a grind to get week in, week out the results that this team's getting at, you know, from the kids that they got playing for them on Saturday. So kudos to that. Let's head over into the video room here quickly, and let's see what we got here in that respect. All right, here is some things that we'll show in this one, okay? This is that first pass on Saturday that Fernando had. Let's see if this is the one I want, though. Whoops. Nope, this is the one. The pass that, you know, that Indiana had on Saturday with everything. And what Indiana you're going to see here, and I'm going to draw on this real quick, they're going to run a mesh route. You're going to see this guy come as an over guy. They put this guy in motion. He's going to come underneath. You've got EJ out here running an outcut, and this is the important part. They're 3rd and 4. Hemby's going to check and release, and this is what we call a mesh route. The rules for the receivers in all this, the progression read is 1 to 2 if you stay to your left, and it's 1 to 2 if you stay to your right. I'm sorry. And you've got the tight end here. I got to move that for a second. The tight end, he's running essentially a high post route, you know, so you could take a peek at him, and that would make it 1-2 on that side, to the back being number 3. So sorry for the scribbles there, boys. My drawing game isn't strong as it once was, so apologize for that. But this is a mesh route, like I said, and it's a good route to run against man coverage, and it's a good route to run against zone coverage, because you'll see these two guys, they're going to run their routes. They'll see zone. They'll start settling down in the hole. What I want to show you here is this guy's technique to start. He's inside leverage of EJ. So EJ is going to, what we call is you attack the leverage of the corner when you're running an outcut. At the start of the snap and the ball snap, this corner is going to jump on the outside of EJ. And he needs to adjust his course so he's always forcing the leverage of that DB, and he does not do it. So this is what happens, and this is a bad decision from my perspective on Fernando. They're playing cover 3. This guy's going to try to get the outcut. You got the mesh route coming here. And see, all he has to do, it's 3rd and 4, be aware that you don't need the big outcut, is play the ball in this area of the field here, or kick it out to Hemby. There's not a guy within 10 yards of him. Now, it's easy to look at it after the fact, but he's made up his mind that he's throwing the outcut, and I think it's a poor decision on his point, because you don't need an outcut throw. And because this guy jumps on the outside here, it he takes the leverage away from EJ and he's allowed to jump the route. And that's what he did sitting on the route Saturday. And we're seeing a lot of that from teams that are sitting on our routes. And you got to start putting in some double moves because they've got too many guys sitting on the routes per se. Now, here's one where they got the sack. And what happens here is our guy that's in the game, he oversets to the outside, and this guy rips inside, and he does not keep his inside leverage on the block, and that's why he loses him. So that's what led to the sack there, is that concept. And here's a better look from the end zone on this. I think this is this is the blitz on third down. Second series. This is a bad call. It's third and long. They're going to try to run a draw here, and they're going to bring these two guys. This guy's going to come, and this guy's going to come on a blitz. And so this play's dead from the start. And this is where Sig doesn't like running checks where the quarterback can check out of stuff. So this, they almost took the handoff here and took it back for a touchdown. I mean, that's right there is really, really scary in the grand scheme of things. And if I'm Hemby, I may tell Mendoza, don't give it to me when these guys are beating down on me. But there was no chance at this play from the start with that blitz. So there's zone blitzing and bringing the fire like they do. And like I told you on Thursday, when you get in third and long with these guys, they get junky. 3rd and 8. They bring pressure. Indiana does a great job of blocking. And Mendoza, watch this throw. Watch him rip this ball. Because Coop is running what we call a feel sit route. When he feels the linebacker come off of him there, he's going to sit in that hole and not get himself in the free safety. And they get the big first down off of that play alone. Now here is inside zone read. This is a great play and a great call. And Fernando does a great job. These guys are blocking zone. His key is this cat here. When that guy comes off the edge right there, and you see how his shoulders are turned on the running back, that is an automatic give. That's an automatic keep for the quarterback. As soon as he sees that defensive end shoulder turn, he's pulling it right now because he can't recover. And that's what happens. And he got a good fake, and they had great blocking down the field. Here's another route. See, they're setting on these routes. See, 14 setting on the route. And what they needed to do here is stalk Becker and send him on a go route, and it'd have been a touchdown. And this time, Coop does what he does. He does a great job of it. Beck gets away with a little bit of a hold there. And Coop, he's just very masterful at making people miss. Now, here's a great call, too. This is third down. And, we said what they like to do in the red zone, they like to bring pressure and they like to man it up at the same time. So what happens is he's got Black one-on-one, and they move him in motion, which draws him out of the middle, and they don't have any protection in that area of the field. And this is the quarterback draw that walks into the end zone. Great call. Schemed it up and got what they needed on that one alone. So really good there by Indiana. In the scheme of things here, I want to show that's later. Oh, shoot. Nope. I'm trying. This is the one they almost got picked. Again, setting on the route here when he throws it. So what do? Well, shoot, I don't think I got it in here. I guess I don't. They run the double move to Cooper for a touchdown, which is called a sluggo. And they do a great job. And this is Hemby's big run that they ran the wide zone. Guys pulling and blocking. This is just a really good job there by the whole right side of the long line. Nowakowski does a great job on a down block. Look at Coogan. This guy's a stud. Watch Coogan here. Coogan is going to completely block this guy and basically hook block him and keep him away from things. And he does it very quickly. Him and Mukowski do a good job. That right there is really good. And there's Hemby doing his deal. Let's show some defense here from Saturday as well. Again, they had some plays where they missed, and Maryland got some big plays on them, like we said they would, but they didn't overforce the issue too much. Here's the another throw by this kid. This is an unbelievable throw from the behind here. You can see this. Look at this throw. He's drifting, and he drops it in between three guys right over their head. That is a special kid, man. Indiana here with they kind of get, this one's a great interception. This is where he hurts his knee right there. See how he buckles there, and he has the foresight to get back and underneath it for the pick. Phenomenal effort on probably blew his knee out. Here's the Lewis Moore interception, guys. This is one hell of a play, because at the start of this one, I thought, man, he's going to make a catch. And Lewis comes over the top and makes a great grab. And I think this this one here is the end zone. This is the one right at the second half starts. They scramble and they lose the back. Jones sees it. It's too late. And then the tackling here was horrible. And Indiana gave up a cheap score on that one. This is the play of the game. This is Boykin here. Quarterback's doing a read. Indiana's in their, what I call their tight, almost bare front, and they're moving their guys. And Boykin has the quarterback on this one. Does a great job there. Strips it, picks it up, and to me, this is the play of the game. Unbelievable. Like for him to tuck it away, and I don't like for him to do that, but kids going to be kids in that respect. But a great play there. And this is the other one that was Jamar. This is just great effort by Sharp, and this is a tight shot of the television copy. He gets it right there. And this is Baldwin picking it up, and Indiana scores right after that one. Another look at it from this perspective. Just another tremendous play and awareness by the defense there. And Locks, you can tell he didn't like it too much. And I felt for him, because we've all been in that situation. And in that regard, it's one of those things.
Hard feelings on.
Whoops. That there was just nothing going right for Maryland. And part of that was Indiana. Big part of it was their defense. A lot of great things. I could have showed 10,000 more plays, it seems like, from Saturday, because about every play Indiana ran, they were running at very high efficiency with very little missed assignments. I think Sig stated that in the presser today. Very seldom did they have guys missing assignments on Saturday. The wide receiver blocking on the perimeter was good. And of course, the running backs ran their tails off, and they got the result, man. They got 363 yards on the ground. Let's see if I got any other questions here before we say goodnight, and we'll get that. Yeah, that was a pretty pick by Lewis Moore. Big time play. Big time play. And again, all those turnovers, I think Indiana, for the better part of them, I think it would have been, let's see, 4 of them would have been points they got off of. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how close they are in that respect, in terms of the total defense, in terms of that, in that regard. Ohio State's secondary is very, very good. The Caleb Downs kid is first-round draft pick in the NFL this coming spring. He's a phenomenal player, and they got it rolling as well, and they should, because they spent about $20 million on their roster in that respect. But got to be thrilled with Indiana and what they've accomplished in that ball game. Hemby and Black, again, those guys were awesome in their game, and the up front offensive line play guys was phenomenal. Yeah, Michael. Yeah, Kobe Martin is going to be a stud. He's a stud now, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they try to sneak him here and there, because it's hard to rotate 3 guys at tailback. It just is, especially because you're taking reps away from your top 2 guys. And so, but when he gets his opportunity, he's taking advantage of it and done well in every game they've put him in. He's done tremendous in that respect. But offensive wise, great ball game the last 2 weeks, and then now looking ahead here on this coming week, Thursday, we'll have a breakdown of Penn State. Come on back. We'll talk about the Nittany Lions, the pros, the cons, and what they have and what they can, what problems will they present to Indiana. Remember, Knowles is the defensive coordinator there that was at Ohio State a year ago and had a great plan against Indiana, and you're going to see some of that. So we'll take a look at them and get ready for that as well on Thursday for the Penn State game. Again, big noon kickoff, 12 o'clock game. We will also have Coach Griff's pregame primer again, hour and a half prior to kickoff. And then we will also have a postgame show after the game, as far as our planning is right now. So stay tuned to all of our Twitter feeds in terms of times and such for another broadcast. But Thursday, right back here, 7:30, Hoosier Tailgate on thehoosier.com. But for now, I'm the coach, Shannon Griffith. You've been watching the Hoosier Tailgate here on thehoosier.com. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.